What is up, everyone? It is another Victory Monday, and I can get used to this. I don't know about you, Mike. How do you feel?
I feel good, man. Honestly, anytime we get a win, and then we come up Victory Monday, it's a good day.
I'll be honest. I wasn't so sure this was going to be a Victory Monday going into Sunday, right? This was, to me, this was the a really big challenge, a game that going into Cleveland with all this adversity, and boy, oh boy, did this team not only win, they laid down the lumber on the backside of them Browns. So awesome win. So we're gonna jump right into it. And we always start out with our studs and duds. So I'm gonna let you jump in. Who is your first stud of the game?
First stud for me here. I got to go to the defensive side of the ball, and I got to go with Marcus Golden. I feel like Marcus Golden did a very good job. 4 tackles, 1 assist, and 2 sacks.
Got my golden jersey on right now.
Gotta love it. Yeah, exactly. I think Marcus Golden had a huge game for us, man, especially when obviously Chandler Jones and everything that's currently going on in the world. You're right, man. Adversity struck, and it was one after another. And it kind of seemed like, dang, everything's stacking up against the Arizona Cardinals, but we came out and we played, especially defensively.
Yeah, and one of those sacks, I think led to a fumble. So Golden was on point. I'm going to stay on the defensive side of the ball with you there, and I'm going to go with J.J. Watt. I mean, he's been a stud all season. He's been making disruptive plays, but he finally got that elusive sack, right? And of course, it also came on an unfortunate play that Baker Mayfield got the shoulder injury, but. I mean, Watt has continued to do everything we hoped he would, except maybe hasn't had the sacks just haven't worked out until now, but he's been so close. But he's been forcing pressure that's led to interceptions, forcing pressure that's helped other people get sacks, and forcing pressure that has disrupted plays, right? So he to me is just another stud. Before we get into the rest of the sets, I just want to say to the folks, hey, to the folks that are here real quick, we got Mark Jackson. We both know Mark. He's supports your channel and mine as well. Good to have you here. Likewise, Lennon Wolf. Appreciate you being here, Lennon. Always reliable. Campejo, thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Sam, good to see you here. Murders Flock, good to have you here. Hope the Bills lose tonight. Yeah, I mean, listen, if the Bills lose tonight, I mean, that's going to make it harder for people to, not pick the Cardinals as the best team in the NFL, man.
True.
So I don't know. Lowell, man, thank you for being here. Good to see you. Red Sea, another guy, familiar face for both of us. Troy tries everything. Thanks for being here. And Warbirds, thank you for being here. Those are the names in the chat right now. So who is your second stud for this week?
So my second stud, I got to go to the offensive side of the ball, and it's going to be an obvious one, but I got to go Kyler Murray. I don't think I've ever said Kyler Murray in terms of my studs here, so I got to give him kudos, man, and he's definitely, lit it up. We've been talking about, interceptions to what he's had, and he played a very clean game. I mean, there was some times that, the balls that were kind of going, beyond him, but we're going to talk about that a little later. It's not all him. But he had a very amazing game, man. Honestly, Kyler Murray was feeling it. 20 out of 30, 229 yards, 4 touchdowns. It almost seemed like he couldn't be stopped.
I mean, it's almost like he quietly had a great game. You know what I'm saying? Like, because so many other storylines in this game, with what happened with the injuries and COVID and the Browns and their injuries. And man, Kyler had 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. I mean, he didn't throw for a ton of yards, but you don't need to. 229 yards is respectable. It was quietly like a really, really freaking good game, right? And we're not talking about that a lot, but absolutely. And I think what I love about this is it continues this stretch of. I mean, he had those 4 early interceptions in the season, and I think we were all looking like, okay, the team's doing well. But this is that same old Kyler who's just going to throw. He's going to get you that one bonehead pick somewhere. But he's cleaned that up, and hopefully we're going to keep on this trend. And it's been weeks, since he's thrown one. So really nice to see that. Before I give mine, I want to say hey to a few other folks that have jumped in here. Dan the Mac, thanks for being here. It's Tangy. thank you for joining us. Chris, good to see you. Otis Driftwood, always good to see you as well. Thank you all for being here. So my second stud it's going to be a group of them, the coaching staff. They were under really suboptimal circumstances. You've got, Spencer Whipple, who I think he had called plays for one game in his college career when he was allowed to do that in a certain situation, but really had no real experience, calling the plays. They were minus obviously Cliff, but also their quarterbacks coach, another key person in that kind of, that chain of command. And for the coaching staff to come together, bring it together, not skip a beat. Maybe, there were a few little things I think you could attribute to them. I think that the timeouts in the first quarter, they used those. That was probably related to that. And they did struggle in the red zone. So maybe that was, but to win 37-20, against a team that people think, consider a good team, major props to those coaches for really kind of just standing up and pulling it together when we really needed them
100%.
to. So, yeah. So what now? There's so many positives in this game, right?
A lot. Mm-hmm.
Too many. I mean, so many. We could go all day, but we are going to talk about just a couple of negatives. We each should have a dud we wanted to mention. So who were your duds in this game?
So, like I said, this is one of those things where it's kind of like you got to kind of, really magnify. And I think I'm going to have to use for my dud, being that we allowed another, score within the last 3 or 4 seconds. And I guess, we get blamed it on the cornerbacks in that whole situation. I know we had Marco Wilson back there. I think either Marco or Byron Murphy did a swipe to attempt to not, but it wasn't even close. But I mean, I guess you got to give kudos to Baker Mayfield for giving that, that Hail Mary, and then Donovan Peoples-Jones for putting himself in that best situation possible. And like I said, we're kind of grasping at straws at this point. But yes, the quarterbacks, I guess, in that specific play would be a dud, but it would be more. I guess my dud will specifically drive more towards we can't give up, a score within the last 5 seconds. It happened in the Jaguars game, and it happened again during the Browns game. Obviously, we won, so it's not a big thing that we're talking about, but it's the kind of stuff that needs to get cleaned up.
What's really tough about that play is like there's only one pass you have to defend against, and that's a pass into the end zone. Mm-hmm. Anything before the end zone, the time's running out. They're not doing anything with that.
Right.
So you think if you're those cornerbacks and safeties, you're lining up super deep, and when the ball snapped, you're just backpedaling straight to the end zone, and you're getting in position, and they got the trips lined up, right? Mm-hmm. So defend that side heavily. But I think it might have been Murphy who was when the pass came down was 5-10 yards outside of the end zone, right? So I mean, I don't know. It's just one of those things. You had one job, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So speaking of having one job, Max Garcia is my dud for that botch snap. Overall, he played reasonably well considering he's having to, fill in for one of the best centers, in the game. But, there was that one botch snap and maybe a couple other, questionable snaps. So he's going to be my dud for the game. But, it's like Mark Jackson is saying, we're splitting hairs.
100%,
right?
Yep.
And so, which is, I'd much rather be in a situation where we have to split hairs to find those duds than where we're having to look with a magnifying glass to find the studs.
Yeah, needle in a haystack, 100%.
So, want to say hey to Corky Corky Thatcher is here. Thank you for being here. I think that's the only person who's jumped in since we last did the roll call. So, All right. So, you're right. And Mark's really good, really right on this. Such a good game. It's hard to find duds, and that's a nice situation. Elite Flight, thanks for being here. Let's see. What got me was everyone was back there in the end zone. They all watched the same ball fly in the
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, this would have been a 37-7 game.
That's exactly what I was telling everybody as well. This legit would have been 37. The only reason why they got set 7 is because that, miraculous play. And I'm saying quotations here, but 37-7, man. It was a whipping, a domination at its finest. It was beautiful.
It was if you I don't know if you are old enough to remember when Buddy Ryan was the coach, but there was a game they were going into, and it didn't go the way he planned, but he said it's going to be an old-fashioned butt whipping, and they're going to bring the butts. Right?
There you go.
They're going to provide the butts. Well, this was an old-fashioned butt whipping, and the Browns provided the butts with the 37-14 win. So, this is a really exciting. It's really exciting to see where this team's at, and this does present some questions for us. In terms of how good this team is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously they're 6-0. We all are believers in them. It feels like people around the country are starting to believe they're a good team, but they're still they're not going all in there on that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the question I want to ask is, are the Cardinals the best team in the NFL in your opinion right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, when you're looking at in terms of standings, yeah, they are there. I mean, they're 6-0, and rightfully so, man. We had all these 6 games that we've had. We've seen dominations. We've seen a 1-score game. We've seen games that we should be winning, games that we got lucky. So we've seen it all in these first 6 games. I do think that the Arizona Cardinals preach the 1-0 mentality every single week, and they're playing like it. The Arizona Cardinals are a different team, and I've been saying this on my channel like left and right. It's a different team than it was last year, and it's so crazy to kind of get my head around it because it's true. Like Kyler Murray's playing out of his mind. You got Rondale Moore, which I know you were super high on when we ended up drafting him. Christian Kirk is coming into his own. AJ Green is providing us that number 2 wide receiver. Obviously, DeAndre Hopkins being DeAndre Hopkins, and that's not even adding what Zach Ertz is going to bring to the table, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. That big news that dropped, and we didn't even get a chance to talk about that. But man, I do think that the Arizona Cardinals are primed to be obviously playoff type of teams, and we can either go very deep or Super Bowl contender type of team.
Yeah. So Elite 8 is saying 100% yeah. Lennon sounds like he thinks so. We're undefeated. Mark Jackson's a little skeptical, and that's Mark, right? We talked about that before. So, so yeah. Let me there is a part of me that's saying, okay, this team is the scariest team. Is I think the most talented team in the NFL. Roster across the board. Yeah. The one caveat I have to hold on to is this: when it comes down to a game like a in the playoffs, deep playoff run, and if you got the Cardinals, there's at least one team in the NFL that I worry about that might have the edge on us in that situation, and maybe a second one. But the second one is Buffalo, and they're not doing great. Well, they just took the lead. We'll see. But the team that most scares me is Tampa Bay, because Tom freaking Brady's been there. Yeah. We know they've got a good coaching staff, offense and defense. They have a stacked roster too. Yeah. If we have the most talented roster top to bottom, they're the second most talented, in my opinion. Yeah, on both sides of the ball. And so when the talent is that close, and then you have a matchup between a quarterback who's been there and done that and a coach that's been there and done that, that's the thing that scares me. Yeah. Right. So for me, I like what Mark's saying. They're top 3, and it's hard to say for sure whether they're number 1, 2, or 3 in that top 3. So they're, the fan in me wants to say yes. Right. And I do think they're the most talented team, especially on offense, and the defense has a lot of playmakers. But part of it's, what do we mean when we say best team, right? Do we mean most talented team, or do we mean the team that's going to at the end of the season in the playoffs be hoisting that championship trophy? Right. I hope it's them, but Tampa Bay still scares me.
Yeah, no, and that's fair. I mean, Tom Brady, whoever has Tom Brady, they always have that option to be that Super Bowl type of contending team. But I feel like the Arizona Cardinals has proven everything that they possibly can prove. They've taken down a Rams team that was solidified to come out. If not the Rams, then, Tampa Bay going to come out of the NFC. And the Cardinals put a licking on them. They did a very good job. And I'm not one to say, oh, well, if the Rams beat Tampa Bay and then we beat the Rams, then we're better than Tampa Bay. Any given Sunday, that's always the way I go. But, I mean, you've got to kind of put that to kind of consideration just a tiny bit, because right now we're on all cylinders go right now. Everything's working for the Arizona Cardinals. And I know it happened last year as well when we were hitting our stride in the beginning. And then, the second half came up and everything kind of fell off the rail. But, man, I was worried about this Browns game as well, not only because We got to travel, but we don't really do good in outside weather. And we were playing an AFC team that seemed like they were going to give us their 110%, and they probably did. Because they came off a loss, a very, very exciting game against the Chargers. And I thought they were going to come out swinging in this game. But we both had adversity, big injury keys. And the Cardinals were just the better team, like overall smackdown.
Yeah, and there's something you mentioned there that I just kind of want to touch on that I like. There's the question of, is this the best team in the NFL? And that's the one where I rest with. But there's another point you made, whereas, some people talk, will say, well, they'll talk about how last year went, right?
Right.
You mentioned that. And one thing I feel emphatically is that this is a different team than last year, right? That is one thing that I feel strongly about. This is not the same kind of team they were last year. They're more talented. They've got some veterans in there. They're more composed. So that's one thing I feel strongly about, right? So we'll see, right, how it plays out. Lennon's asking, do you think we'll go 17-0? What do you think about that, Mike?
I mean, I would love to go 17-0. I don't know. My prediction has changed, man. We called ourselves 10, and then we went to 11.
We were both 10-7.
Yeah, and then we went to 11 somewhere. I don't know. I see it as more like a freaking 14-15 team win. Honestly, man, we're playing so freaking good. We got 6 wins right now, and if we want to, get into the playoffs, then we say 11. That's only like 5 more wins, man. That's crazy.
I'm at 14 wins right now for this team. That's where I'm at too. And that. So I don't think they'll go 17-0. I hope they do. Right. Want to say real hey to Stack 2 Deep who jumped in. Thanks for being here. So, and in fact, and I brought this up in my live stream last night, and I'm gonna just show it. This was my original schedule picks. There I am. Oh, there I am. All right. Hey, what's up? So when we look though at this, right? I mean, obviously we see how wrong I was. We were both wrong. We're glad to be wrong, right? But if you look at the games ahead of us, there are 3 games that maybe give me pause, right? Green Bay, that's a test coming up. I don't, Seattle, Wilson, I don't think will be back by then. If he is, then maybe, the Rams game is another, they're going to be tough again. Dallas is looking good.
Yeah, they are.
And then, Indianapolis is kind of a wild card because, Wentz has been playing well, right? So they could be tough, but I'm not fearful of them. And then that last game against Seattle, I just wonder, are we going to be resting starters at that point? And is Wilson going to be back? Is that going to be a game we lose, right? So when I look at those games, those are some of the ones that I'm kind of looking at like, well, if those are where I feel like the losses, if they're going to come, are going to come from. So I don't know. I mean, I think 14 though wins is where I'm at too.
That's a valid statement in terms of like the last games. If Wilson does come back, or hey, we need to just rest starters. I don't know, man. This team is just playing out of this mind right now. And it's so crazy to see where we are right now. Obviously, we have the Texans, and I don't want anybody to overlook the Texans. We got to take a beat. We got to beat them down, and then we got to worry about 4 days later to Green Bay, which that right there is going to be the game, man. I'm so excited about that game.
Lennon is saying we're going to go 17-0. Love the optimism. Mark, I appreciate Mark. He is willing to be honest, own his. He thought they were 6'11". He'll own it. Some people would hide that and hope that no, he's not hiding. He's shown us the receipts, even though they're not the most. But yeah, and Mark's been convinced. Ralphie, thank you for being here. Appreciate you being here. What do we think about the Seahawks? We can answer that question real quick. What do you think about them and going to Cam Newton?
I talked about this on my live stream earlier today. Okay. I think it would be foolish to do so. Honestly, why bring somebody in? Which I honestly think that Geno Smith is probably at this point in their career is a better passer, and he knows their playbook. Why try to bring a star in? When I'm doing quotations, why try to bring him in? Like all you're trying to do is put like a big swing on the board, and I don't think it's worth it. If Russell Wilson comes in 4 weeks, best case scenario, then hey, put him in. If not, we'll see. I don't think they should, but I mean, it is.
I would tend to agree. I mean, I just think Seattle. I mean, obviously you're always trying to win. I just don't see them as a playoff team this year.
I don't either.
If they somehow hang in there and win some games, maybe, but I think you try. You see, yeah, I think you go with Geno Smith, like you said. He knows the playbook.
Yeah.
If you're bringing in someone else, do you bring in a big personality like that? And I'm not hating on Cam. I think he's actually. I think a lot of criticism he's received has been unfair, but it's not even if he does everything right, the media attention, right, that you're going to bring, right, with that name. So I'm with you there. So let's ask this other question that we kind of had prepared that's related to that last question. But is this the best Cardinals team you've seen in your lifetime?
It's tough to say. I mean, we're only 6 games in, so I don't want to call it so far, because I mean, my favorite team so far is obviously the Super Bowl team with Larry, Anquan, Breston, and obviously Kurt Warner and the running backs that we had. I don't know. I think it's too early to tell right now. Obviously, my best team is going to be the team that gives me the Lombardi. I would flip-flop as fast as like that. I love Larry Fitzgerald. He's going to be my probably all-time favorite player. But you better bet your dollar if Kyler Murray gets us a Super Bowl, that guy is going to be my new favorite player, Cardinal of all time. It's just, I mean, that's what it is, man. But we're fans, but we're fans of the team. At least of me, anyways. Yeah. I love the players, but I'm a fan of Cardinals first. Like the Cardinals organization, that's what I'm a fan of first and foremost. So yes. But it's kind of, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to answer this one.
Well, no, that's fair. Like, because it is early, right? So, there's at least one team that got to the Super Bowl, and another team that, if it weren't for Carson Palmer kind of getting banged up, could have gone on a deep playoff run, and those were great teams. And then we're always, there's always that risk of recency bias, like being most kind of, just looking at the most recent example and overvaluing it. Yep. I would tell you, I set this up as a poll, and when we just before we started the stream, and got 39 votes, and 79% of the people voted say yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So maybe everyone's maybe we're all kind of having recency bias, or maybe or whatever, or maybe most of the people, 79% of the people are too young to remember those other teams.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, I think it might be the most talented. It's hard to tell, right? So yeah. We just got a super chat. So let me take down this banner. I want to acknowledge that. Thank you, love you both guys. Packers game in week 8. Sorry, can we own Rodgers and the Packers again?
Great question.
Thank you, Chedison McGraw. Appreciate that. I know Mike appreciates that too. And that's one of the great things. Just we love this Cardinals community that we're both part of it, and share some of the same community. So what do you think? Do you think we can own Rodgers and the Packers again?
Honestly, I don't want to look too ahead, but this is the game that I love to talk about, and I could talk about this game left and right. So yeah, I'm gonna skip by the Texans in this moment. Yeah, Rodgers versus Kyler Murray. I am so freaking excited about this game. I don't think you understand. This to me is going to be the game that it's going to decide. Like, and I don't really care what national media people have to say about the Cardinals. Like, I already came to the conclusion, like, they're not going to talk about us. Or if we win, they're going to find some sort of thing to say, oh, well, Baker was hurt. They didn't have this. They didn't have that. But I do think that the Cardinals can win this game. I legit do. I've seen a couple Packers games this year so far. I've seen Aaron Rodgers look really bad in the very first game against the Saints. And I've seen them look okay. I mean, yeah, they're what is it, a 5-1 team right now, but I don't know. There's something about them that's not the Aaron Rodgers of late. There's something about them that's not there to me. And I feel like the Arizona Cardinals are more explosive. So if we can somehow outscore them, hey, I think we can definitely take this win here. They're going to score points too. But I think the Arizona Cardinals can definitely pull this win out.
Aaron Rodgers is my favorite player who's not a Cardinal.
That's fair.
I will say that, or at least, or a former Cardinal, you might say, because there's some former Cardinals I pull for. But I think he's so talented. I think he's one of the most talented quarterbacks ever to play the position, and they are a good team. But I think we can win that one, and I think we could even win that by a couple scores. Obviously, anything can happen any given Sunday, like they say. But okay. I don't think their defense is is as good as the defenses we played. Like the 49ers have done the best job, obviously, against the Cardinals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Packers don't have that kind of defensive personnel, in my opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think they're going to slow down our offense. I think our defense might, that might be a game where we give up more points than we have in recent games, right? It might be the most we've given up since the Minnesota game. But I think our defense has shown an ability to do just enough, right? They get a turnover. Every game they do enough to keep the game, if not completely in hand, close enough the Cardinals can win it.
Right.
So I honestly think both offenses have the ability, obviously, to put up points, two great quarterbacks. I just think that our defense is better than theirs.
I agree.
Right.
I agree. And I think that will be the deciding factor right there.
Yeah.
And I was just taking a look at the Packers.
Yeah.
They're the teams that they just played this year so far. I mean, granted, we all know that they got spanked by the Saints, and that was surprised. That surprised me completely. So obviously, let's not take that into account. But then after that, they played the Lions, and then they played the 49ers. That was a very close game with Jimmy G. Then they played the Saints, and then the Bengals, and then the Bears. So I mean, the Bengals are a pretty good team. The Bears, they have, Fields, and I don't know if he's the guy for them right now, but I don't think he's quite there yet to start making the playoff runs for them right now. I don't know. I'm just not impressed with the wins that they have so far, man. We had the Rams, we had the Titans, and then we had the Browns, which we spanked all of them, and they're playoff type of teams. I think we're good.
Yeah. I mean, and again, anything can happen. And if things just go sideways sometimes, but I, and just sometimes things don't go according to script. You have to have that disclaimer. But based on everything I'm seeing, I agree with you. Real quick, want to say hey to Calvin being here. Thanks for being here. Yeah, Simmons really coming along. He is really, and Collins has played well. He just hasn't played as much. Blueberry, thank you for being here. One of my channel members, appreciate you, man. Spliff Kingsbury, I'm feeling a bit better. I'm glad you're feeling better. I don't want to know how or right. So yes, but thank you for being here. Lil Indo, thanks for being here. Appreciate. Let's see. They will say something even if we win Super Bowl. Yeah, I mean. Feels like they're wanting to hate on us. Warbirds, I don't know if I said hey to you, but thanks for being here. Anyway, I know we want to respect your time. You've got 30 minutes with us. Mike, maybe we have time for one, maybe two more questions. So if there's, let's see, if anyone has a question, get it in there. And if you see one that jumps out to you,
let's see here.
I'm looking there too. But we've got time. Let's see if the first person you get a question in the chat, we'll take that as long
there
as
you go. That's fair.
As long as it's not offensive.
There you go.
So first question in the chat. All right. So someone type away, get us a question, and then that'll be we'll get Mike out of here on that. Okay, Lennon just has one that popped up. All right. What's your prediction score for the Cardinals-Texans game? Mine is 45-10 Cardinals. All right.
Dang. Mine, I guess I can go. 37-17.
Okay. Yeah. I think I'm gonna go with 30. I'm gonna go with 37-13. I think they get one touchdown in there, and then they're sticking to field goals the rest of the way.
That's fair.
So, yeah, I think that's probably. I think maybe we have time for one more. We have just enough. Maybe we'll get this one. We'll get Mark's question in here. Can you believe how many bad injuries that have happened this week? What do you think?
You mean like for the Cardinals, or you mean for like everybody, or like the NFL?
Yeah, I'm gonna guess he means probably everybody. I don't
everybody.
Know. And if he throws his clarifier in there, we can get that. But
I can't believe that, the thing that's going on in the world has affected us as bad as it did. And it felt like a snowball effect, man. It's like, okay, one person went down, then the other, and the other is like, here we go. And then there was a moment that people were saying, oh, maybe Kyler Murray got it. And I don't know if you heard the whisperings in the Twitter world that they're like, oh, they're going to have to retest them and blah, 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 blah. It's nuts, man. It's crazy.
And so he's saying all football injuries. So, yeah, I mean, I think, there's a lot of conversation about with the limited amount of time they have for practices and how some people frame it as, the players are soft because they don't practice stuff. I don't buy that. But what I do think is when they're not practicing at the facility as much, they're practicing on their own, and they might not always be practicing or stretching or working out in the ways that keep, under the eye of the trainers in ways that keep them healthy. So, Mike, I want to respect your time. Is there anything you want to say before you head out? I'll stick around and do a little Q&A.
If we want, we can do that last question here from Chadason McGraw. It says, question, Rondale Moore, best draft this year? ? Like, is he saying is this the best draft
that
pick?
I'm guessing he's asking if that's the best pick, right? I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think so too. That's tough. I love obviously you were on the hype train with Rondale Moore before I was, but I want to say Marco Wilson, man. Marco Wilson has showed up because in a spot where cornerbacks were so like, oh my God, I need a cornerback so bad. Rondale Moore is right there with me. Trust me. Rondale Moore is here. Marco Wilson is just tinier bit. And the other reason is because he's a fourth rounder. The only reason, and we got him so late. But Rondale Moore is a very good pickup, man.
I would say of the players that we've drafted, at least the ones still on the team, because Tay Gowan's gone, right, and a few other. But I would say that Marco Wilson is the best draft pick, not the best player, but the best pick as value.
Yep, that's what I meant. Mm-hmm.
To get a cornerback in the fourth round who's played and started, and it's been a little up and down, but yeah, I think Rondale Moore is the best player thus far. And Zaven Collins has played well. He just hasn't seen enough snaps. But I think that was the sharpest pick by Keim, I think.
True.
Right.
I agree.
Right. Well, Mike, thank you for being here. Yeah. Again, if there's anything you want to say before you head out, but I'm going to stick around for a Q&A for a little bit. But appreciate your time and you joining us here.
Yeah, of course, man. No, I appreciate you having me on, man. Next Monday, hopefully we can do another Victory Monday. Don't want to, talk too much, but we got the Texans coming up, so we'll see.
Yeah, here's hoping, right?
Right. All right, man. Peace out. Later.
Peace. All right. Well, I'm going to stick around and do some Q&A with go through some of the questions and answers that are here. So I'll hang out with y'all for a little bit. So let's get on to, let's see. Chris R, who will have the most touchdowns receivers? So by the end of so I'm guessing I'm assuming you mean overall for the season. I do think it's going to be DeAndre Hopkins. He's off to a good start. I think he might be leading the team right now. I'd have to check, but I do think DeAndre Hopkins, and I think it's going to be Hopkins. But AJ Green would be a sneaky bet too, because he's a really good red zone threat. And then obviously, man, Christian Kirk's got a few, but I think Hopkins is going to when it's all said and done. Let's see if we got some more questions here. Do I think Kyler Murray will be the MVP this year? I think he will. If he stays healthy, this team's going to keep doing what they're doing. He's playing like an MVP. I'm here. People are talking about him as the MVP. And if this team can, if he's healthy, I think they're going to keep winning. And he's going to have the story, like the storyline, like MVP as an award is so narrative driven. You have to have the stats. You have to have a winning team. But there's like every year, there's at least 2 or 3, maybe even 4 guys that you look at, and they're usually quarterbacks that like have good numbers, have a winning team. But sometimes the thing that differentiates them is the story. Is there, what something that's going on or something about the team. And the Cardinals surprising everyone, I think, is providing that narrative that will just add to it, right? So yeah, I think he will. That if I were betting, that's what I would bet. Mark, thanks, and I hopefully Mike got to see that, but thank you, appreciate your support for both of our channels. Let's see. If Ertz comes in and does well, they need to give kind of a game ball. Yeah, right. Listen, I know we were all really, really kind of down on Keim, and he earned some of that criticism. But he has done, a hell of a job giving this team the players they needed, right? I mean, this team is I think the personnel is a big part of the reason this team is playing as well as they are this year, or why they've made such a step. The coaching has improved, but they've also got a lot of the right players in the spots there. I want to say hey to Big Play Slay. He's a Eagles fan who likes to jump in here once in a while. Appreciate you being here, and enjoy Tay Gowan, and thank you for Zach Ertz. I know we already said that, but appreciate you being here, Big Play Slay. Chris, who will have? Oh, I think who have the most T's. D's not Murray. Let's see. Did I already? I'm guessing you're asking. Okay, non-passing in overall. Okay. Man, I'm starting to think James Conner might, because they're using the way they're using him in the goal line. I mean, he's going to get he's already got a number of them, and they're going to keep giving him the ball when they get, in the short yardage situation. So I think he would be a good guess. So, yeah. Let's see. This was I'm guessing. Well, no, you were answering the question about most receiving touchdowns, probably, and that's who I kind of thought so as well. I wanted to make sure we get any questions and comments in. We'll probably not go super long tonight. Had a nice long stream last night, and it was a lot of fun. But if you got questions, anything you want to say, get it in there. We'll get a few more questions in there, but probably gonna not go super long tonight. But let me while we're doing that, I want to take a moment to thank all the channel members. Acknowledge that during my live streams, always I will do kind of a member shout out. So had a number of people join the membership ranks this week. So appreciate your support. Thank you so much. Got our Ring of Honor, Brendan Store, Red Sea, Mark Jackson, Josh T. Our starting lineup: Kemi Ndolo, Blueberry, Back to Constitution 1, King Plumtree, Lennon Wolf, Hossicle, Alpha Hills. Appreciate that. If anyone's interested in helping support the channel, certainly it's not required or mandatory, but it's certainly appreciated. So thank you. And also, I'll also take a quick second to mention, if you aren't part of the Discord, we've got the TCR Discord, and I'm going to put the link in the stream. And it's really been a great community that we've started, and during game days, there's a bunch of us in there. I was talking about it yesterday. If you aren't part of the Discord, consider joining. It's really a good group. So we've got a couple other questions. All right. How many sacks for Chandler Jones this year? I mean, he missed this last game. He's only got 5, I think it is. I don't think he's had one. Has he had one since? Maybe he's got 6. I don't know. I think he's going to get. I think he's going to come back and he's going to get some sacks, and I think, and that's just a really tough one to kind of project. They've got 11 games left. If he average, I'm going to say he ends up with about 15. I think he'll start getting some more sacks, even though, that has kind of slowed down for him. He's got 5. I think he'll end the year with 15. I think he'll have a couple more stretches where he gets some sacks. But, yeah. Let's see. I just want to see a 7-0. Then I'm ready for a big match against Green Bay. 100% with you there, yeah, for sure. If you could interview one Cardinal, past or present, who would it be? That's a really great question. One of the obvious answers is Larry Fitzgerald, because the dude is just so interesting, and obviously is a Cardinal icon. So that's probably the easy first pick. But aside from him, I think someone who'd be really interesting to talk to. And this is not, this is not necessarily because he's the best player the Cardinals have had. I don't know. I think Jake Plummer would be an interesting conversation because he's just a different kind of dude. But probably Larry Fitzgerald is number one. I know that's probably the boring, easy answer, but listen, Pat Tillman. That if you could have that conversation, right, that'd be really interesting, and he'd be obviously, you'd have to be on another plane of existence, but that's right. Interesting, yeah. He was also an interesting dude, right? Let's see. If Green Bay isn't primetime, it should be. Yeah, I agree. Well, is that a Thursday night game? I feel like it's a Thursday night game if I'm not mistaken. So that should, looking at it, I think it's at 8:20 p.m. on. I think it's a Thursday night game, so that should be prime time. I love Adrian. Adrian Wilson's another one of my favorite players too. So I'm with you on there. Yeah. So that's another one I was considering too. He's just kind of a quiet guy, but yeah. Let's see. Why haven't we seen Dimakaji? Good question, Robert. I think the reason he's on the roster is because they didn't want to lose him to waivers. I think he still needs some. He needs to develop some. I'm looking at the let's see. I'm trying to think. He might have gotten a few snaps here and there, but I don't think he's gotten much. I think they do have a lot of depth at pass rusher, and I think they're really just kind of let me see if how many snaps he's had. I got here PFF up. In terms of edge, has he had snaps? Victor Dimakaji has played. He's played 5 snaps this year and this season. They were all like in week 1, I guess. Looks like. So yeah, so they really haven't played him much other than special teams. Yeah, I think because they feel like he's a work in progress, and they guys like Kennard and Marcus Golden and even guys like Kylie Fitz who's been with the team for a few years. I think they just feel like those guys are better options right now, and they're just kind of developing him. So yeah. What jersey would you get? Daddy Booter, Daddy JJ. Let's see. So Daddy. Okay. So would I get Booter or JJ Watt jersey? Is that what you're asking? If I had to pick one of those, I'm guessing maybe that's your. And thanks for being here, Bass Stringa. Appreciate you being here. I love what JJ Watt's brought, but maybe Buddha because he's been here a little longer, right? So, yeah. Yeah, I love Golden. Also, would love to send. Yeah, I love this. Yeah, I think Golden loves this team. I think for me, like, how can I say this? Like, Golden is so much energy and passion. I think what I love about like Larry Fitzgerald, why I think I'd want to talk to him is because like the dude's like this world traveler, and I just think there'd be a lot more like just a kind of, I don't know, just it'd be interesting to talk to him about his varied interests, right? And that's maybe why Larry kind of really stands out to me. But yeah, Marcus, man, I love. Obviously, I'm wearing his jersey, right? So huge fan. Kurt Warner be an interesting one to talk to, right? He's had an interesting life for sure. Yeah. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Like to thank you, Joseph, for all that great channel work. But I think your stream always matching Sunday night, Monday games. I think if you change these times, you get more reviews. Yeah, thanks for the feedback. It's a little tough. So Monday night, Mike has a limited time frame, so we kind of have to, work with him. Sunday night's a little tricky because I'm trying not to do the streams at the same time that Mike is doing his, and then when the Cardinals end their game, and lately it's been the 4:00 game, I try to, I record a video, try to get a quick reaction video out. And then I also, to be quite frank, I have to wait till my kids are in bed because otherwise they're going to be disruptive and noisy. So I appreciate the feedback. It is a little tricky. I mean, I could try to go a little later, but I'm also on the East Coast. So then, it's already almost 11 o'clock for me now, and I'm a night owl. So, it's tricky. It is. So I do, I'm certainly cognizant of that. I'm just not sure that, going earlier is a little tough because we're trying to get my kids bed. I know that's a lot of personal information, but yeah, maybe at some point this can kind of maybe some of this can, we'll see. I'll try to look at that. It's a lot of things to work around, but thank you for the feedback. I do appreciate, and I appreciate the kind words for sure. You're going to do your weekly mock draft once the order updates, but what do you think personally is our biggest need right now? And I know you're doing a lot of mock drafts, and I always enjoy seeing those, Red Sea, in the Discord. And again, another plug for Discord. Get in that Discord if you aren't, because there's a lot of good stuff that's throughout the week. So I think, looking ahead to next year's draft, and obviously some of this is tough because there might be some players that aren't back with us next year, so on and so forth. But I would like to see us draft another cornerback. Someone, it doesn't have to be necessarily a first rounder or second rounder even, but someone to throw into that mix to develop along with Murphy and Wilson. Alford's played well this year, but we need to add some folks, or some folks to that room. So I think at least another cornerback. I think I would like to see this team draft maybe one more developmental pass rusher to kind of help keep that pipeline going. An interior offensive lineman, I think, like a guard in particular, to kind of someone who can, obviously right now we've kind of had some guys rotating in and out of the right guard position. Justin Pugh, and we were talking about this in Discord, Justin Pugh next year has like a $12 million cap hit, and there's only $2 million of dead caps hit or dead cap if you cut him. I wouldn't be shocked if the Cardinals cut him or try to restructure his deal. So maybe interior lineman, and then also like defensive interior. It might be nice to get a really solid guy like someone who's going to maybe be a stud in that in that position. So for someone to play along with JJ Watt until he retires or moves on. So yeah. Do you see Rodney Hudson? I do. I don't, but it would be a dream to have him back, right? Obviously he's going to be really getting him back is going to be really helpful for this team, right? So yeah, but no, I don't think I see any Cardinals players in my dreams, but I can understand why you do. A fellow East Coast Cards fan here. Awesome. Appreciate that, Malik Banat. I hope I did not mispronounce your name. And Red Sea is also an East Coast. We got a few of us here, right? Raiders, Niner Sickness, can I share my NFC West group in here? Sure. I don't know if you're able to share links in here, but Niner Sickness, he's a 49ers content creator, really good dude. So if you're, I don't know if it'll let you share that or not. Maybe you tried. It was seeking approval. I don't know. Go ahead and try if I, and we'll see if we can do that. But if not, everyone check out his channel. He's a good dude. Who are we facing NFC Championship and the Super Bowl? Right now I'm going to go with Tampa Bay, and then in the AFC it's tricky because right now it's looking like Baltimore and the Bills are the top two teams over there. And I'm gonna just for fun, as much as the Bills are kind of the favorite team right now, I'm gonna say the Ravens in the Super Bowl. That would be a heck of a matchup too, right? There's two really great running teams, right? So so that's why I'm gonna say Tampa Bay in the NFC Championship game and the Ravens in the Super Bowl. Here's hoping, right? Two things that I don't worry about anymore: field goals and filling empty positions for sure. For injured players, etc. Keim, Brady both have my trust. Yeah, it's been nice to have a kicker we can rely on. It's been nice to have depth and positions when players get injured, right? So that's all been super nice, right? Niner Sickness said the group's for all fans of the NFC West, and thank you. So yeah, so check out his channel. He's a good dude. All right, so you're picking the Packers in the NFC Championship. Okay, and Raiders versus Cardinals. That would be interesting. I don't. Right, the Raiders. They're having an interesting time. Well, I think if maybe you got time for one more question, two more questions at most, but we're going to probably wrap up soon. If you've got a question you want to get in there, get it in there. Otherwise, we'll end this thing pretty quickly. But definitely appreciate you all being here. It's another Victory Monday, which is always a good time as a Cardinals fan. It's been nice to be able to have these every week. Hopefully, we can continue for a while. But let's see. Ooh. If the Cardinals left Arizona, would they still be your team? That is such a tough question. Here's hoping that never happens. It's weird. I probably would say yes because I'm just so invested. And I don't live in Arizona, even though it's where I was born. It's obviously it's a hugely important place for me, but maybe because I'm a transplant now, maybe I would probably still. I just can't see myself just all of a sudden letting go of all this kind of these years of experiences and just my familiarity with the team and investment in doing even stuff like this. So yeah, I would. Why? That's a tough channel, right? Or a tough question, right? Yeah. You don't want that to happen either. Please, football gods. Yeah. Oh man, I tell you, if it happens, we're all blaming you. How dare you, right? All right. A group on Facebook called NFC West Gladiators. Okay, thanks. So if you want to check out his group, that's his group he's got for NFC West on Facebook. So everyone, feel free to check that out. All right. Well, I think, it would take a lot for Bidwell to move the team. I agree. They've been a staple here forever. They've got a stadium. They may, I know those things only last long before they want another one, but I think I'd be really surprised if they moved on. I'm with you. But listen, on a good note, 6-0 going against the Texans. Hopefully going to be 7-0, leading to a really good, interesting matchup against the Packers. And, and this is a team that is exciting and that hopefully is going to give us a lot to cheer about for the rest of the year. Thank you, Mark, for being here. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And the end of that poll, we love our Cardinals and we love our toaster stand. Go Cardinals 6-0. That's right. That poll finished. 79% of you on 62 votes thought this is the best Cardinals team you've ever seen. And I have to think that might be right. So, all right, well, we're going to go ahead and end this. We appreciate y'all being here, and I know Mike does too. So we will see you all next week.